Hollywood has churned out some regrettable remakes over the years, but among the garbage there have also been some successful cinematic revivals like Ocean's 11 and The Thing, both of which made audiences forget there was something else to compare them to in the first place. With that optimistic outlook in mind, let's take a look at all the remakes Tinseltown has in the works that might be worth your ticket money. Suspiria. 1977's Suspiria has been described as a nightmare fairy tale etched in neon colors. The horror film focused on an American ballerina who arrives at a European dance academy, only to find herself in serious trouble when the students start dying in disturbing ways. It's as good as Italian horror cinema gets, and remaking it seems like an impossible task. But Luca Guadagnino is going to try anyway. The Italian filmmaker is working with an impressive roster of great actresses, including Dakota Johnson, Tilda Swinton, Chloe Grace Moretz, and Mia Goth. And even Jessica Harper, the star of the original, will make a cameo in the new iteration. The biggest difference we'll see is in the color choices involved in the remake. While the original is perhaps the most colorful horror film ever put to celluloid, Guadagnino says his take will have no primary colors. Instead, prepare yourself for a film that's winterish, evil, and really dark. Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. 1988's Dirty Rotten Scoundrels was a classic comedy starring Michael Caine and Steve Martin as two con men who made a rather despicable wager. The two were trying to fleece an heiress out of her money, and whoever lost the bet had to skip town. But while the film was a success, the story was hardly original. Dirty Rotten Scoundrels was actually a remake of a 1964 film called Bedtime Story, which starred Marlon Brando. MGM is currently updating the movie again with women in the lead instead. The new pick, Nasty Women, will star Anne Hathaway and Rebel Wilson as two despicable scammers. If Nasty Women manages to bring back the whole cultured crook versus crass con artist angle, then it's not difficult to guess who will play who.
He loves to run and run and run.
Overboard. Released in 1987, Gary Marshall's Overboard may have divided critics, but it eventually won the hearts of comedy fans around the world. Starring the legendary couple of Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn, the film focused on a spoiled heiress who fell off a yacht and woke up in a hospital with amnesia. Through a series of hijinks, her carpenter tricked her into thinking she was his wife, and hillbilly hell broke out.
Why do I have this depressed look on my face all the time?
Well, you were grumpy a lot.
Flash forward 3 decades, and Overboard is being remade with Anna Faris and Eugenio Derbez in the lead roles. But this time there's a twist. The roles will be flipped, with Derbez playing a selfish playboy from a wealthy Mexican family who loses his memory after taking a tumble off a boat, while Faris will be a single mom who fools Derbez into thinking he's her husband. When in doubt, gender swap it out. The Thomas Crown Affair. Coming off films like Creed and Fruitvale Station, there's no denying Michael B. Jordan is one of the most exciting actors working today. Now, he'll be following in Steve McQueen's footsteps with another adaptation of The Thomas Crown Affair. The original 1968 film followed a wealthy businessman who orchestrated a nearly perfect bank robbery, but eventually an insurance investigator began to suspect Crown of pulling off the heist. Sparks eventually flew between them, and the two leads had to grapple with both their emotions and millions of dollars as they tried to outwit one another. The film was already remade with some success with Pierce Brosnan and Rene Russo as the co-leads. But what's really impressive is that this new version is all Michael B. Jordan's idea. Jordan reportedly pitched MGM on the idea for a remake himself and landed the title role as a result. The Raid: Redemption. One of the craziest action movies in recent memory, The Raid: Redemption followed a SWAT team trying to nab a notorious crime lord. But most of the movie was made up of fantastic fight scenes as the team battles their way up a heavily guarded high-rise apartment building. However, while the original Raid is a martial arts extravaganza, director Joe Carnahan plans on getting grittier with his upcoming remake. The director of films like Narc and The Grey, Carnahan is teaming up with actor Frank Grillo to create a film he says will feel like a feature-length version of the knife fight scene in Saving Private Ryan. Death Wish. The quintessential revenge flick, Michael Winner's Death Wish saw a pacifist-turned-killer declare war on New York criminals after a gang of thugs murdered his wife and raped his daughter. While the film stirred up quite a bit of controversy back in the day, Death Wish was financially successful enough to spawn several sequels.
Hey, what's the problem?
Now, over 40 years later, MGM has decided to remake the dirty and gritty thriller and possibly start a new series. only this time Bruce Willis will be playing the part of Paul Kersey instead of Charles Bronson, and Eli Roth will step behind the camera for the flick. According to Roth, we can expect to see Hostel-style torture scenes with spectacular set pieces on this remake, so get ready to lose your appetite.
Because a death wish always comes true.
An American Werewolf in London. When it comes to werewolves, there's one film that stands snout and shoulders above the rest. An American Werewolf in London is the quintessential lycanthrope flick, so Universal's upcoming remake has some pretty big paw prints to fill. David Alpert and Robert Kirkman of The Walking Dead fame are set to produce the new American Werewolf, bringing some serious horror cred to the project. Meanwhile, Universal is keeping things in the family on the filmmaking side. Hoping to recapture the black magic of the original, the studio has brought out Max Landis, the son of the original's writer and director John Landis, to pen the screenplay and helm the film. So hopefully this won't be just another Bad Moon movie on the rise.
Tra-la-la-la-la. Isn't this fun?
The Great Outdoors. One of John Hughes' lesser-known scripting efforts, The Great Outdoors was a 1988 comedy starring John Candy as Chet Ripley, a Chicagoan who just wants to spend some time with his family out in the Wisconsin wilderness. Unfortunately, Chet's relaxing vacation was ruined when his annoying brother-in-law crashed the party with his own family in tow, leading to a series of escapades involving water skis, a giant steak, and a bald-headed bear. Now, Universal Pictures is aiming to reboot the film with Kevin Hart on board to lead. Whether he plays Chet or his brother-in-law remains to be seen, but we can count on the funny man to deliver some memorable moments and remind everyone what an underrated gem the original was. Scarface. Say hello to a little remake of this gangster classic. As one of Al Pacino's most acclaimed performances, it's no wonder fans are a bit skeptical about anyone touching Brian De Palma's 1983 film. But what most people don't know is that Scarface was actually a remake itself. The first Scarface was filmed in 1932, and it featured an Italian immigrant making a name for himself in the Chicago mob. A couple of decades later, De Palma simply switched the setting to Miami, turned the main character into a Cuban, and created an all-time masterpiece. In keeping with the Scarface remake tradition, the new film will take place in Los Angeles and follow a Mexican immigrant's rise to power. Diego Luna will play the main character, working with a screenplay written by Boardwalk Empire's Terrence Winter and doctored by the Coen brothers. You might recall that the last time the sibling duo had anything to do with a script about drugs, murder, and Mexican cartels, it worked out pretty well. So maybe we should be optimistic about Scarface's modern-day revival. The Intouchables. When The Intouchables made its way to America in 2012, the film was not a commercial success, but overseas, this French drama made an absolute killing. The story focused on the relationship between a paralyzed man named Philippe and his Senegalese caretaker, Driss. In addition to race, the two are separated by class and different worldviews. But over the course of the film, the two form a bond and help each other become better people. Now, the Weinstein Company is giving Americans another chance to see the movie. Only this time, they'll get to hear all the dialogue in English. Retitled Untouchable, the upcoming remake will star Bryan Cranston as a wheelchair-bound Philip, and Kevin Hart will play Dell, Philip's new assistant from the Bronx. Nicole Kidman will also star and Neil Berger will direct. The pick will bow into theaters in March 2018. Starship Troopers. Directed by Paul Verhoeven, Starship Troopers has never gotten the same amount of love as the director's magnum opus, RoboCop, but it still gained a sizable cult following over the years. The 1997 original followed a group of kids who joined the military to fight bugs in outer space. Initially, the movie was misunderstood by quite a few critics, but these days, Troopers is widely recognized as a biting satire on fascism. The original novel, written by Robert A. Heinlein, couldn't be more different. The book has a much more pro-war stance than the Verhoeven film, which means the upcoming remake will diverge significantly. Columbia Pictures hopes to kick off a potential franchise with a new Starship Troopers, but most importantly, the upcoming version will stick a lot closer to the novel. Maniac Cop. Directed by the infamous William Lustig, 1988's Maniac Cop has been described as schlocky and scummy, and actually kinda fun. The exploitation flick features Tom Atkins as a cop investigating a series of murders, Robert Z'Dar as a psychopathic police officer killing anyone in his path, and Bruce Campbell as an innocent cop caught in the middle. While the film wasn't exactly a critical hit, the slasher had picked up a cult following over the years. The Maniac Cop remake has been in the works since 2012, but in 2015, things really started moving. Marvel and DC Comics writer Ed Brubaker is writing the script, with John Hyams directing. In March 2017, Variety reported that the film would start shooting in the summer, although the remake isn't going to be exactly the same as Lustig's original B picture. This time, Maniac Cop will be more of a realistic thriller than a horror film, with producer Nicholas Winding Refn telling Bloody Disgusting the new film will serve as more of a commentary on modern-day society and the sometimes questionable actions of law enforcement. There's no word yet on who's starring, but whoever they pick, they will probably pale in comparison to Campbell and Zadar. At least when it comes to their chins anyway. Thanks for watching. Click the looper icon to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Plus, check out all this cool stuff we know you'll love too.